We'll be done in about 10 minutes. All right, so if we go to Canvas, I am going to go to Exercise 17, creating color swatches. So the reason why I'm going to show you how to do this, because you will come across colors that you really, really like, whether it be ones that you want to use multiple times. You might find some colors today that you use for the Charlie Harper assignment, but you also might want to use them in the future. So we'll talk about creating swatches that you could bring from one computer to the other, no problem. We'll also talk about incorporating color from various websites, okay, and why that might be actually a little bit useful. So the first website that we're going to talk about is a website called Peloton, okay? So there should be a link to it on the exercise. Let's see here. Right there, peloton.com. Okay, and you're going to get something that looks a little bit like this, okay? And what this website is really good at, and it's a free website, you don't have to sign up or do anything like that to be able to use it, but what it's really good at is giving you different color variations, and it helps you determine what those might be, okay? So if you go up here to the upper left-hand side, you're going to notice 4 different ways to pick color, okay? The first one simply gives you, if you have your mouse over it, it should actually tell you, or right here, this is helping you create monochromatic colors. So if I take this little dot and I start to spin it around the wheel, it's going to give you the color that the dot is actually sitting on, and it's also going to give you different variations of that color with more white and more black. Okay, so notice here that a part of the swatch is that gives you a much whiter version, kind of an in-between version, and then different variations of that, okay? If you look to the middle of this little graph, you'll notice these 5 little dots here. If you move these dots closer and further away from the center of the circle, you'll notice that all it does is in your swatch over here on the right-hand side is it either incorporates more white and more black or less of it. So the closer you get to the center of the wheel, the less variation you're going to have in your color. The further you bring those away, the more variation you're going to have in all of your color. Okay, to where basically it gives you white, black, and a couple in between. So that's going to be the monochromatic option. If you click on the next one to the right of that, this is called adjacent colors. Okay, or these are actually all complementary color, or kind of opposite complementaries. Okay, so if you take your dot and you move it around, it's going to give you the color, the center color that you have, and it's also going to give you variations based on the colors that are adjacent to your main color. And same thing in the center. If you move this closer, you start to have less white and less black as a part of your color variations. Okay, so the whole point of whatever version you choose is that it gives you a real nice composition of colors to work with. Okay, so the next one you might choose is called Triad, 3 colors, where it actually gives you kind of opposite complementary. So remember, complementary is actually going to be the color opposite on the color wheel, and then it gives you 2 colors that are just slightly different variations of that. So if I take my wheel and I say, all right, I want my primary color to be red, well, it also gives you this kind of teal or blue-green color, and also gives you kind of a yellow-green color as well. So that's also an option for you. And then lastly, I don't ever use this one, Tetrad. It starts to get to the point where the colors are pretty distant from each other, but it might be useful to you. So I'm going to do the Triad color scheme. Let's just say I come to one that I really, really like. I say, all right, that's what I want my Charlie Harper image to be based off, is this right here. All right, I love it. So what are we going to do with that? I am going to go over to, is it Share Palette? Sorry, the website always changes on me every single time. For every single year, they change it a little bit. Nope, that's not it. Sorry. Give me 1 sec. It used to be down here in the bottom right. Oh, it is down in the bottom right hand corner. Just got to scroll down a little bit more. So you're going to go down to Tables and Export. I'm going to click on that, and then from here, it's going to give you all of the colors that are in that particular scene. Okay. So these are all of the 15 colors that are in that scene. And so there's a couple ways of going about how you could get this from here over to Illustrator. Let's just open up Illustrator really quickly, and I'll show you a couple different ways. So one way, and the first way that I'll show you, is actually more of the single color way. So you could either import the entire swatch, you could also just pull individual colors, okay? So let's just say I didn't really care about the entire swatch and I only wanted one particular color. And that color was this one right here, okay? If you notice right below primary color 1, it gives you a couple different things. It gives you right below that a hexadecimal number, okay? That number, if you punch it into a lot of color systems, will get you this exact color. It also gives you an RGB number. It tells you the exact it gives you the exact combination of red, green, and blue to get to that color purple. What's kind of cool about that is you could also take that to like Home Depot and you could give them that number and they would make paint for you based off of that color combination. Okay, so there's a couple more things to it that they don't know is in terms of the amount of a lot of those colors, but for the most part they can make this color for you based off of that RGB number. So if I go over to Illustrator and let's just say I'm just going to create a quick little box and I want to create that color, okay? I'm holding down Shift, I'm going to double click on Fill to open up my color picker menu. Okay, so there's two ways that I could pull this color over here. The first is to copy and paste this hexadecimal number. So if I guess it won't let me copy it, but 8354BE. So if I go over here and I type in 8354BE and I hit enter, there's that color purple that I just found on that website. Okay. The other way to do it is to actually put in the RGB number. So I could put in 131, 84, 190. So if I go over here to RGB, I'm going to click on the R. So I'm now using the RGB color spectrum. Let me just remind myself, 131, 84, 190. So I could type in 131, 84, 190. All right, and there's that same color purple again. So that's one way. You can see that starts to get a little slow, especially if you have 15 different colors that you want to use. If you only want 1 or 2 colors, 3 colors, yeah, that could most likely be the faster method to do that, is just to write down the RGB number, the hexadecimal number. But after a while, especially for me when I use lots of colors in my day-to-day activities, that can get a little bit old. But that is one way to do that, all right? But let's look at the next way. The next way is going to be to download the actual color swatch. So over here on the right-hand side, it gives you a variety of different ways to download these swatches. I'm going to click on Color Swatches, all right, and I am going to download the ACO Photoshop file. Now, unfortunately, the way that this website works is it gives you a Photoshop file instead of there's an Adobe Swatch file, okay, that actually works for Photoshop, InDesign, and Illustrator. This particular website does not give you that, but you can convert it to that in Photoshop, which is what I'm going to show you how to do. All right, so I am going to click on ACO Photoshop, and that's going to give me this ACO file. That's going to be a color palette file, and I'm going to show this in my folder, and I am going to copy this into today's work, just in case I ever want to go back to it and use it. Okay, so there's my palette Photoshop file. I can now go to Photoshop. Alright, so we'll open that up and we'll load this into Photoshop and actually create an Adobe Swatch file. Oh, there's all my photos that I uploaded literally 2.5 years ago into this class, and they still pop up every single time.
Now when I go to put text in Illustrator, the more it pops up. Every time I hit text, it's just like...
I don't know why. These computers are just embedded with all kinds of information. So I am going to go over to, let's see, I believe it is Edit, and we're going to go down to Presets and then Preset Manager, okay? So you don't even need to open up a new file. All right, I don't even have a canvas on here to actually work with, but I'm going to go over to Edit. I'm going to go to Adobe. Nope, sorry, going too fast. Edit. I'm going to go down to Presets, and then I'm going to go to Preset Manager. Okay, and the first thing that we see is brushes. Okay, and we're going to talk about brushes in Illustrator next class. Really fun topic. But I'm going to click on this little drop down arrow, and I'm going to change from brushes to swatches. All right, something to pay attention to is these are all the swatches that are already preloaded into Photoshop. Pay attention to what the last color is. So it's kind of this medium brown, and it's in the 6th row in the middle, okay? Because once you add your colors, it's going to fill it up beyond that. So you just want to take a mental note of where your color starts and where the Photoshop colors end, okay? So the way that you would probably think to load these in would be to click on the load button, but that's not what we do. It's kind of deceiving. So you're not going to click on the load button. You're going to go to this little gear in the upper right hand corner, and you're going to click on Replace Swatches. Okay, so you're going to click on Replace Swatches right here. All right, and this is going to allow you to select your swatches that you already saved. So I'm going to go to Fall 2017, 9B. Oh, there's my ACO file, and I'm going to load that. And now I have all of my new colors. Now, actually, that actually replaced the swatches. That's one way to do it. But if you want to keep all of the other colors, I think there's another option as well. Okay, so that didn't do it. Well, so if you would have hit replace swatches, there's another option in terms of how to load it. Let's just see. It is, no, it's not reset swatches either. Am I not seeing? Usually there's another one. Maybe it's just paint color swatches. Replace current color swatches from the paint color swatches. Okay, anyways, the way that you had it is just fine. Oh, I just went back to that. Sorry, I'm kind of going down a rabbit hole here. So I'm going to go to replace swatches. There used to be another option. I guess that will work. So replace swatches, my palette, and there's our colors from the website. So what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to click on the first color with my eyedropper tool. I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to select the last color. Okay, so I have all of my colors selected here. All right, and then from here, I am going to go over to Save Swatches for Exchange. I'm just trying to remember this process. Yeah, Save Swatches for Exchange. Let's go ahead and save this. So this is actually in an Adobe Exchange file, so this is correct. And I'm going to go ahead and call this Matte Swatches 1. And I'll save that in my content. All right, so that's it. That's it for that stage. So now, if I go over to Illustrator, and before I go to Illustrator, you're going to want to go over a part of today's assignment to prove that you've done this correctly. You are going to go to Canvas, and you are going to download 2 different templates that I have uploaded. There's a 5-color template and a 15-color template. 5-color template is for the next exercise. We're going to download the 15-color template for this one. I'm going to open it. So right now it looks something just like this. All right. I am then going to go over to the button that says swatches right here, over here on the right hand side. So like Photoshop, it gives you a bunch of default swatches and colors to play with. I am going to go to this little drop down arrow over here on the right hand side. I'm going to click on that drop down menu, and I am going to click on Open Swatch Library down here at the very bottom, and then Other Library. Okay, and then now I'm going to go find that Swatch library file, or that Adobe Swatch file that I just created. Click on that, go find it. Oh, there it is, Matte Swatches 1. I'm going to hit Open, and then you're going to get this new little tab that pops up that has all of your new colors. And so what you'll do for today's assignment, just to show that you've done this, you'll click on the first grouping of images, and you're just going to start to change all of the colors to match what we saw online. Okay? That's one group. And blah, blah, and we keep going, and we're almost done. Okay? So that's what you'll do for this exercise. And as soon as you're done with that, go ahead and save it as a PDF. That will be part 1 of today's exercise, and upload that to Canvas. Okay? So that's how we import our swatches into both Photoshop and to Illustrator. And that's using a PCO file. Okay, that's just a file that is just uploadable into Photoshop, and then I showed you guys how to bring that same swatch file and bring it into Illustrator. Okay, so that's one way to do it. Now let's look at our next website. The next website is going to be colored. It's much different than the original. All right, and actually now that I'm thinking about this, I don't think it will work on Chrome. All right, whenever I try to do this on Chrome, it never works. So I'm going to go over to Internet Explorer. Slow Internet Explorer, come on. Sometimes it works in Chrome, sometimes it doesn't, but I've done this way too many times to where it just did not like to work. So we're going to go to colrd.com. Okay, perfect. So we have this website right here. So what this website does differently than the other one is that it allows you to upload a photograph that you say, hey, the colors in this photograph are striking. I like it. So for example, this photograph of the parrot. And what it does is it creates a color swatch file for you based off of the colors in the photograph. Okay, so pretty cool little invention. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to Create, and I'm going to click on Image DNA. Okay, and it will give you a couple images that you can select, or you can just use, or you can upload an image of your own. If you want to upload an image of your own, you'll go over to Open, Upload, and you'll upload your image. For the purpose of this example, I'm just going to click on our good old toucan friend here. And notice that what it does is it selects a couple of, very different colors, but also complementary colors in the image. It creates this swatch file right here, or it creates this different groupings of colors. You say, okay, I like that a lot. That's exactly what I want. I'm going to go over to Save. And from here, I'm going to name my palette maybe Toucan Color Palette. And I'm going to click on Illustrator. Illustrator will actually give me an Adobe swatch file that I can upload into any of the softwares. Okay, so I'm going to click on Illustrator, and it's going to say, where do you want to save it? I'm going to save as to my thumb drive. Toucan Color Swatch. All right, and I'm going to hit Save. And we are now done with that portion. And so from there, I can go into Illustrator again. I'm going to open up our Color Swatch 5 file. Open that up. Okay, just like we did before, I'm going to upload that file right here. Open Swatch Library, Other Library, and I can now upload that file. So right there, Toucan Color Swatch, open. And there it is right there. Okay, so there are those 5 colors. And then from there, I can go through and change them all, save it as a PDF, and upload it into Canvas. So you're going to be uploading 3 different things to Canvas today. You're going to have your 2 swatches that you create, so your 5 color and your 15 color, and also your example Charlie Harper image. If you want to put them all onto one title block, that's fine. You can just upload them all, or open up your title block, import or paste all 3 files. You can turn in 1, or you can turn in 3 separate files. Whichever way you choose is fine with me. Any questions about that? Okay, that's it. Go ahead and get started. Have about an hour and 20 minutes left of class. "19 minutes. I said 15. I'm trying really hard to